So I'm going to split this video into two parts. In the first part, we're going to talk a little bit about the fundamental things that you should try to want to learn if you want to get into AI. And then we're going to talk about the actual specific courses, or sort of a way to select the courses that you would need to take in order to learn those concepts and acquire those skills. In terms of the fundamental skills, one way to think about it is that you need a solid foundation. Although personally, I think about it more like making a soup. That is, like, there's a couple things that a soup needs in order to be a soup, but then there's a lot of options in terms of things you can put in. You don't necessarily want or even need everything in the world in the soup. There are things that need to be in there, and then you want to maybe add the things that you like. The broth of your AI soup is going to be some kind of computing skills, programming, some kind of math background, and then deep learning knowledge of some kind. And I'll talk a little bit more about what I mean. If you're going to do any kind of hands-on AI, though, you'll need to know some kind of programming. You'll probably be interacting with Python. The more important thing is just to be familiar enough with coding to where you can pick up Python, or you can pick up PyTorch or TensorFlow or whatever tools or libraries you'll need to use. You need to be able to write out some code that's going to be able to accomplish whatever you want to do. The second thing is math. In terms of maths, I would say there are some almost need to haves and then some nice to haves. What you almost need to, I'll even say you need to have a good grasp of like your basic college algebra, like the kind that you would take at the end of high school if you're in the United States, or that you could take in your first year of college if you didn't get the chance to take it before. That's like certain things just won't make sense to you otherwise. Some kind of like statistics 101, also very helpful. And then you really want to at least have made it through your like first and second calculus courses probably. Some universities might teach that all in one course. It just depends. But you'll want to know basic like differentiation, integration, stuff like that. Now, nice to have is a good grasp of linear algebra and a good grasp of calculus with multiple variables. And I would say some kind of differential equations. There's other things that could be nice to have too, depending on what you're going to be getting into. Honestly, you could even go so far as to get a math major, and there's probably not a lot of wrong decisions you can make. In order to like do AI, I guess you have to have some kind of knowledge of like what that AI is. And so that's where you'll need to know your machine learning and deep learning basics. Now that we've covered those key categories, here's like the extras, I guess, that could be in your soup. There are a lot of things that you can apply AI to. Probably the most common one, especially with my computer vision background, are people that work on medical imaging, like trying to create computer systems that can automatically diagnose diseases just based on X-ray data, for example. And to work on that, you might want to have some good working knowledge of the biology that accompanies the research. There's also great applications of AI for chemistry, for physics, for astronomy. Like the black hole image, for example. Pretty much any other science could be sort of an ingredient in your soup. There's also lots of people that do AI for different business applications. What I'm getting at is it's almost like once you've got the basics down, you could either become someone that even more specifically gets expertise on the research side of AI, which might mean you want to dive really deep into computer vision or natural language or something like that. Or maybe you'll kind of branch out and you'll be someone that operates at the intersection of multiple things, and you would, have a lot of chemistry knowledge or a lot of biology knowledge or something like that. I think that's a great way to bring me to the main principle of selecting these courses, which is you already finished your education when you were a kid. If you're getting into university, try to take courses that you like. You don't need to be forcing yourself to take anything just for the sake of taking it, for the most part. I mean, the basics that I said, some of that sort of non-negotiable, but especially when you're getting into your junior and your senior years, at university, hopefully you're able to pick things that you like. Now, in terms of the other things, I think it's easiest to understand some of the principles if I just go through a couple of like course registration lists. So let's dive into that. Okay, and since it's something that I'm familiar with, let's go to the list of courses you could register in at the University of Maryland. Okay, so here's the courses I feel like you really need to take. So let's talk about the maths first. Like I said, you would have to look at your specific university to know which one is which. Like reading the fine print to know which is which. But like I said, if you haven't already taken it, you'll need your algebra fundamentals. Probably this one, actually, at the University of Maryland. If you don't already know pre-calculus, you should take pre-calculus. Okay, so you'll want to take some kind of calculus 1, like I said, calculus 2. So some kind of linear algebra. This one's integrated with the differential equations, which is great. Multivariable calculus, see? Or sometimes it would be called calculus 3. That's another one you really want to have under your belt if you're going to try to really specialize in the math of AI. Or even if you're not, even if you just want to be able to understand some of the basic concepts and proofs that we use in machine learning, you'll want to have taken these courses. So that covers the math. Let's take a look at computer science, which in Maryland is the code CMSC. Okay, so like I said, there are some basics of computing, right? You'll want to have some kind of coding knowledge. This obviously doesn't have to come from computer science. At different schools, there might be a course in your major that teaches these coding fundamentals. But at the University of Maryland, that would start with your Object-Oriented Programming 1, followed by Object-Oriented Programming 2, and then other courses that are really, really useful are things like discrete structures to understand some of the math concepts, as well as algorithms. With this, you'll almost be touching some basics of software engineering, but not really getting too close to it. And I think a lot of these things really useful to know if you want to break into the research side of AI, where the interviews could revolve around literally just the algorithms that are taught in this algorithms course, maybe not even anything like machine learning specific. Now, to talk about your actual machine learning knowledge, most schools are like the University of Maryland and have, at least for now, a somewhat redundant course structure. So you might have courses like an intro to AI and an intro to machine learning, where if you look specifically even at like the high level description, you might find some overlap, right? Learning, knowledge representation, natural language processing, vision, right? That's going to overlap not just intro to machine learning, but at the University of Maryland, if you scroll down more, we also have specifically a computer vision course, introduction to natural language processing. So I just wanted to highlight beyond your intro to machine learning, intro to deep learning, intro to AI kind of classes, computer vision and natural language are both sort of the tentpole applications of deep learning and AI. And so I think you'll find a lot of utility potentially if you take the computer vision course that's offered, or if you take the natural language course that's offered. Like I mentioned earlier, some other things that are kind of related to computer vision or graphics, that can be a great course to take as well. And then robotics is a burgeoning application for AI. That can be a very good course to take as well. Okay, switching to a different university. Let's try to find their course catalogs. Let's see what we can do. So undergraduate catalog, maybe, course search. Subject, here we go, computers, computer science. All right, here we go, computer science. So I'm not going to go over the programming basics again, but at pretty much every school, there's going to be like 2 courses that are like the in major start. I'm not going to talk about that too much. Let's go down and look at what they're offering in terms of machine learning. So they actually have even some of the same codes as Maryland. That's interesting. So 420, you have an artificial intelligence course, which might teach you some natural language understanding, vision systems, planning algorithms, intelligent agents. You have a machine learning class that's going to teach you the basics of supervised and unsupervised learning, Gaussian models, decision trees, optimization, statistical inference. Okay, I'm not finding a deep learning specific course, but computational photography is often very deep learning adjacent. Scientific programming can often be very deep learning adjacent. It just depends. Computer graphics, same thing, especially if you want to do computer vision. It can be a good idea to have at least an undergrad level understanding of the graphics side. Robotics and spatial intelligence. Robotics is a very hot area lately. Lots of people in computer vision or AI that are trying to do applications in robotics, but also just trying to pick up robotics. And so now that I've looked at some examples of courses at 2 different universities, I want to just return back to the University of Maryland and point out a couple more things to think about when you're registering for courses. One of them is independent undergraduate research, which is typically like a mentored experience available at most universities to my knowledge, but it'll probably work this way where you need some kind of permission from a faculty sponsor, and you would fill like a form with them at the beginning of the semester. And this is one way that you could participate in research in their lab. So this is a great opportunity to get more familiar with one of the faculty or with their students and potentially get a letter of recommendation, as well as get like hands-on experience doing research at the cutting edge. Other things to keep in mind, one of them are that often your school will offer like special topics courses. So these might not be some of the regular courses, but you should always come and look at these and see if they seem like things that could be interesting. Human-robot interaction or embodied AI, multimodal deep learning. See, like a lot of these agentic AI, a lot of these are AI focused. And so if you're only looking at the regular courses, you might miss out on some really interesting opportunities, and you can look at the faculty that are teaching each one to find out more about them. And this would be the case at most schools, that they would offer some kind of courses like this. Also at most schools, undergraduates that are in their final year can typically get permission to take even graduate level courses. And that would just be a matter of finding a course that sounds interesting, Like maybe you might say, oh, I want to take this common sense reasoning and natural language understanding course. So you'd reach out to the professor, you'd reach out to the department and see if you're able to get permission to take the course. I did that when I was an undergrad. I got permission to take a graduate course. It was some of my first exposure to deep learning, and it was a great opportunity for me to learn a lot more. It helped me connect with researchers actually that were based out of another country, and we wrote a paper together. And that all came from me deciding to reach out and see if I could take that course. And I know undergraduates at the University of Maryland that also did this. And so I'm pretty sure it works this way at many places, that if you find something that interests you in the list and you think you have a decent understanding of some of the prerequisites, you can sometimes request this special permission. Although it obviously depends school to school, and even at a given school, policies could change from year to year. So always make sure to double check those things. Anyway, I hope if you clicked the video because of the title, maybe you are currently a student, maybe the job deadline hasn't happened yet, maybe I gave you some interesting ideas. You can revisit your catalog, think of some other courses to take, and I hope you have a great day.